Maar wat praat ons oor onsself?
Want ek gaan ook vanaand win.
Ons gaan we wing it. Ons laat ons kykers ons lei. Is jy live? Is ons
Okay,
live?
cool. Ons is live, die knoppie is gedruk.
Okay, dis Engels, nee?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just going onto Facebook to see that I can see all the. It's not there. It's not there. It's not there. Live. There we are.
Ja.
Cool. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, everybody. This is so interesting.
Hi, Lindy.
Hi, Lindy. Okay, cool. There should be no
Cool,
echo.
banana.
So, yeah. I love it that I don't know what goes wrong technologically, and then all of a sudden it works, and then it goes wrong.
I just thought it's one of those things where you just press buttons, and then something happens.
Yeah, and you don't know what you've pressed. We will win this.
No.
I mean, this is number 4. Surely I should have had it by now, but anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
Hello guys, I hope everybody's doing well. So, Antoinette, let's fall in the door and just tell everybody, sorry guys.
Fall in the door.
Fall in the door, fall in the house. Unfortunately, or maybe fortunately for us, Nick had a double booking. I was quite upset about it, but anyway, we'll give the man the benefit of the doubt, and we'll have him on the 15th. So I think it's actually a very good time for us to have a little bit of a more about us thing. So tell us about you.
You're gonna start.
You're gonna start. You're gonna tell us about you and what makes you tick and what makes you do what we do. I'm sure everybody would like to know just a little bit more about us. Hi, Leanne.
Hello, Leanne.
So.
I'm avoiding the subject.
No, you're not going to get out of that so easily. So come on.
Yeah. Do you know what, Retha? It's all about the dogs. I think, and it's the same with you as well. I've got a serious echo going on. I'm hearing myself.
You want to go out quickly and come back in and see if it works?
Okay,
there should be a setting that say reduce echo noise.
Yeah. Audio.
I think you're using that as an excuse to get out of this question. For somehow, I just avoid
the subject. I don't like talking about me.
No, but you're not talking about you. You're talking about your love for dogs and why. So.
Yeah. I think, growing up, we've always had dogs. And I remember my parents told me we had a Alsatian when I was a little girl. I don't remember it. And my mom said I would sit in the kitchen and this dog will lay across my legs. And so I don't remember any of it, but I do remember our first dog. He was
Leanne, sorry, I'm going to interrupt you. Leanne says they can also hear the echo, so there is definitely something on that.
All right, so let me go out and then I'll come back in again.
And see if that doesn't work, and in the meantime, I'll just quickly... guys, if you've got anybody that's watching that has got some nutritional questions, please post them on here, and I will try and answer as best possible I can this late in the evening. Are you there? Are you back?
I don't know. Can you still hear the echo? Yeah, it's still there. All right, I'm going to leave.
Okay. I hope she comes back. Because it's not going to be nice talking to myself and everybody. So listen, the technologically impairedness between the two of us just clearly show our age. That's for sure. Let's see. Is there echo when I talk or not? Thumbs up or...
All right. No, it's still there.
Hold on. Is it from your side or is it... It's from your side. I don't think echo cancel. Can you hear me now or is it...
I hear you very well. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I've taken the echo out. So it should be fine from that side. Okay. Leanne says no. So then I think that means...
Okay, Leanne's got some tips. Try muting yourself, Retha. The echo's gone. It's gone. Can someone please keep notes as to how we are fixing these problems as we go along so we know for next time?
I'm just not going to say anything.
No. Anyway,
okay, cool.
All right. Let's just fast forward to how We Love Pets started. I love telling the story. I always say We Love Pets started because of Vaseline. It was in 2019. I was doing the dog box then. We were doing those bespoke gift boxes for dogs. And I was driving to Pick n Pay, and on the radio came a lady, and she was talking about Yellow for Survivor. She was going to walk for 27 days, 27 kilometers for 27 days. And I'm like, okay, I did this a few years ago when I ran 650 kilometers in 15 days to raise funds for hospice. So I figured I need to get in touch with her and just tell her, rub Vaseline over your entire body every single day before you start. Anyway, so went to Pick n Pay, come home. Now I'm looking for this woman because I couldn't remember her name or anything. Eventually found her on social media, on Instagram, sent her a message. Her name was Lelani Kitter. Sent her a message. Whatever you do when you go on your walk, Vaseline. Anyway, so she messaged me back, and then she phones me and says, do you want to join me for a walk? And I'm like, sure, why not? So I can't remember the exact date. It was in September somewhere.
Antoinette.
We finished, we're talking lots. Can you hear me?
Now you're back. You're back.
All right, great. All right. Anyway, so I met Lelani, and we talked about and are you interested in being the editor? I'm like, yeah, sure. But let's go for it. So she makes me editor of We Love Pets. On Facebook to say that she wants to sell the business. She wants to sell the platform. So I messaged her, do you still want to sell it? Yes. So eventually I bought We Love Pets for 2 mountain bikes and
How you gone again? Oh, there she's gone. She's disappeared. I think, guys, the challenges that we sometimes sit with is Antoinette is on a farm, and the reception sometimes is just absolutely horrific. So while we wait for her to come back, I am going to start. Okay, there she's coming.
Okay.
You're back.
All right. Yeah, I'm back. You have a question? Thank you.
You're not off the hook yet, really. But yeah. And so okay, so you then bought We Love Pets, and that's how you became the passion behind it.
Ek gaan 'n booster of 'n ding moet kry.
Okay, so what I'm going to do, seeing that you have a little bit of an intermittent connection there and stuff like that, let me quickly, I'm going to fall in with the first question, and it is from Leanne, which is question 1. Would you recommend supplements like L-glutamine or probiotics alongside a raw diet for dogs with chronic allergies? Okay, so that is a brilliant question. Okay, and I'm going to try and keep it short and not go into much too detail, because otherwise we'll sit here till tomorrow morning, or even evening for that matter. When you've got a dog that's got chronic allergies, we usually sit with, there's some deficiencies. There's somewhere in the gut, there's an issue. So a good probiotic is always a good idea. But it is which probiotic. And the first thing that I normally say to people, and even when it comes to myself, I never take the same probiotic month in and month out. It is so important to understand how probiotics work, because remember, a probiotic is still bacteria. Our gut is built from different bacteria, and you get a dysbiosis. So you're getting an imbalance of different bacteria that's causing certain things that happens. I'm not going to go into the nitty-gritty detail about it, but if you feed the same probiotic month in, day out, month in, month out, at some stage you are going to create another imbalance, because too much of a good thing is also not good. And not all probiotics supplement does the same work. So it is extremely important to know when you feed a probiotic that you do the right, you look for the right ones, you look for the right combination, and you look for it. So I always say the best thing is to look for something like a soil-based probiotic. Okay, that's not always that easy, but my go-to for a probiotic rule of thumb, when I advise clients, I say, if something needs to be kept in the fridge, it's the perfect probiotic. Okay, because that means you've got a live culture that you need to keep under control. There cannot be an overgrowth of it, and it actually supports the gut. I was introduced by Dr. Byron Handmark to a probiotic that I think is absolutely phenomenal. It is called Biorem Ferment. It is very potent, but it's got a lot of all the right stuff in it, and I swear by it. The other one that I really like a lot is the Real Thing. It's the probiotics. That is the two that I personally have found the best results with, for me personally, but also for my dogs, and for dogs with allergies, and for dogs with gut issues. And I have seen really good results with it. There's another one that you can order online from the Real Nut. I can't blank now. I'll post it in the comments as soon as it's come back to me now. Also, that's also a brilliant probiotic. It's a little bit pricey, but it is really worth it. It's really worth it if you've got a dog with serious issues. Okay, when it comes to, so just because you're on a raw diet, that should not be your go-to why you want to do a probiotic. A probiotic is always a good thing when you have got issues. But just feeding a probiotic for no specific reason doesn't necessarily warrant it. Last year with the African Pet Health, we've had, between me, Connor, and Brendan, we've had quite a lot of discussions about when to feed a probiotic. And I know Connor has done quite a lot of research. If you go to the Dogs First page and look at prebiotics, you can find some of his rants and some of his very lengthy chats about it and information pieces about it. Is, do you feed a probiotic when it's not necessary, just because? And I totally agree, no. If it is just because, no. But it is sometimes good to, for short periods, do probiotics randomly, just to make sure, because our dogs can't say like us. I can say, you leave my tummy if it feels a little bit uneasy. Mm-hmm. So dogs can't say that. So sometimes it's good to do a little bit of a spot check, but don't do it as every day in and out. Companies that makes probiotics is going to say to you, yes, do that, but I would say alternate and variate. So when you do things like kefir, remember a probiotic, a prebiotic, and a postbiotic is all different things. And that I think we can actually do a little bit of a more in-depth thing as well. But a prebiotic is actually almost more important than a probiotic. So prebiotics will be things like pumpkin seeds, banana, things that also trigger enzyme functionality. So all kinds of roughage stuff that you give, which comes in the form of a prebiotic, prepares the gut in order to accept the probiotic. Okay, so that is just as important, and I think we very often overlook that part of it. So I will do a little bit of a list that we can post on the thread on prebiotics, probiotics. I've been talking to a company that wants to get involved with the African Pet Health that does a postbiotic, and I am absolutely amazed. It's not a South African product, but I wish we had very easy access to this product because it is an amazing thing. It's also a little bit of a fermentation. So with any of the biotics, pre, pro, and postbiotics, you can always look at something that has got some fermentation in it that also creates that culture and help your gut to, I almost want to say, to simulate or vestig, wat is die Engelse woord? Settles the colonies inside the gut in order to create the benefit for that. So from that point of view, yes, but not on a regular basis. And guys, I'm not going to name a name, but there's a certain probiotic that you get on pet shop shelves and at the vet, and it's very green. And I know it is better than nothing, but it is not necessarily a live culture. You want to get as live possible into the gut that it can work and have a good balance of all the different necessary bacteria that you need to get into the probiotic. L-glutamine is a very, very good supplement to add when you have got allergy issues, because there's just so many benefits that it does. So L-glutamine, quercetin, and things like that is stuff that you can definitely add, but always be careful and do not over supplement. Remember, my grandmother used to say to us, "A te voor iets is nie goed nie." So too much, too often, a too fruit can be just as bad as a leave it out totally. I hope that answers your question, Leanne, and it gives you a little bit of background and thinking about that. But it also gives us a very, very good thing to write a little bit of an article and a blog post about it, to have it handy for you to pull up and look into that. Okay. So there was another question as well that I found very interesting. Somebody asked on Facebook about the leaves of the wit stinkhout worm, which is Saltus africana. I hope my pronunciation of the Saltus is right. So that is the wit stinkhout worm leaves that her dogs love to eat. So I don't have any background of this client. I don't know what food the dogs has been eating. But in general, when we look at the wit stinkhout is, and it's a very good question. She quickly mentioned something on zoofarma. So zoopharmacognosy is the ability of our pets, us as humans as well, but our pets, that has got the ability to choose what their bodies need. And what the dogs do when they eat the leaves of the wit stinkhout, of the Saltus africana, is actually, it's completely safe. Don't stress about it. And it's a very classical case of zoopharmacognosy. Saltus africana wit stinkhout has got a lot of medicinal properties. Mainly of it is it's for gut support. And so obviously the dogs need a little bit of a slight imbalance, and that doesn't mean the diet is wrong, guys. If a dog goes and eat grass or eat leaves or something like that, it doesn't mean the diet is 100% wrong. It means it needs a slight, a little bit of support. Dogs do that. Carnivores do that in order to get themselves regulated and support them. So the medical profile of Wit Steenkoud, it is a very tannin-rich product, and the leaves contains tannins which have a very anti-inflammatory effect and the ability to tighten tissues within the gut, and when there is a little bit of unsettledness, and that gives digestive balance right through the dog's body. So that is a natural thing that the Wit Steenkoud does. It helps with digestive balance. It can help when there's a mild diarrhea maybe coming on, or irritation of the intestinal lining is something that it can help with as lot. It is also very good with antimicrobial support. So antibacteria, so there's something going on, and this helps for the antibacteria and antifungal effects. Once again, help with gut imbalances and a lower grade dysbiosis of the gut. So it is all about natural microbial balancing and regulation. So yes, it's got, like I think I did say, antioxidant, that it's a strong antioxidant and digestive support. So overall, gut mobility. Do not stress when your dog starts eating the leaves of a Wit Steenkoud boom. It can also do the roots, and basically everything within the Wit Steenkoud boom is safe. It's not like syringa berries and stuff that can be poisonous and stuff like that. So yeah, it is safe. It really is a good. It's a good support. However, like in everything, if it becomes excessive, I would say, what is going on now? So if the dog goes out and I sometimes say, I don't have beagles, I've got sheep, because they can go out and graze my lawn. But we stay on small holding, and it's not Kikuyu. There's a lot of wild grasses there, and they can graze, and then they're all fine, and they don't do it for weeks or months, and then they start doing it for a day or two. If it becomes behavior that is daily and it's excessive, then I would say, let's talk. Pop me a message, say, Retha, let's look at it. Let's look at the diet in more detail and see how can we support and look if it needs a little bit of detoxification or what needs to be done. So, yeah. Antoinette, I've been talking a lot. Have you got anything that you want to put into this? Here's another question from Lindy. That's got a question on behalf of friends in the dog community wanting to switch raw. If a dog is on a raw diet, can they still have natural treats like biscuits, or should treats also be strictly raw based? No and yes. Okay, my personal opinion, okay, is that a raw diet doesn't mean you need to have raw treats, but have naturally and holistic based treats. Don't feed a raw diet to get away from grains and high carbohydrate things, and then feed a treat that is very high in carbohydrates and grains and so like that. So don't feed a raw diet and give beanos. That's one of the biggest reasons why we started developing the Pawsome Raw treats, is to give something that is still biologically appropriate, and that's basically meat-based. So yes, if your dog's on a raw diet, they can have natural treats. They can just have a look at the fact that it should not be high in carbohydrates. And most commercial treats has got a lot of flour in it. So look at the ingredients and make sure that you do something that is more meat-based and that's got more appropriate ingredients. Because you're not just doing it for the raw, you're doing it for for getting away with fillers and carbohydrates overall. And so yeah, that's what I would suggest when we talk about treats in a raw diet. You with us, Antoinette? I think she's got a little bit of a delay there. So I've got another question here from Leanne. What are the most important nutrients owners often overlook? That is a very good question. Antoinette, are you with us? So I think we've got you've got your micronutrients and your macronutrients, and macronutrients is your basic that's your protein, fat, carbohydrates, minerals, and so on. And in micronutrients, that's your copper, zinc, your minerals that very often is overlooked. In a well-balanced raw diet, it should cover everything. But I do think dogs with allergies and things, the system is under pressure. And we underestimate the role that zinc plays in diet. And yes, you feed, a raw diet is naturally rich in zinc, but I do think we sometimes when a dog has got really severe allergies and severe issues, that having some zinc supplementation, it is a really good micronutrient to add. So overall, we look at the macronutrients and we make sure fat and protein and carbohydrates and your calcium and phosphorus is there. But we forget about the micronutrients, and a lot of companies, because it's not a regulation that you need to test for that. It's not something that a regulatory body asks for to be done on when we do registrations and so on. So and it's a very expensive test to do to see what is the micronutrients. So sometimes there can be imbalances in diets with that, but that's the same is said for the diets, kibble, hills, quercetin, all of that, and then we overlook the micronutrients, things like zinc, copper, and those things, and the right balance of it. A lot of food, there is food, especially in the States, there's a lot of food that is very copper heavy, that get copper toxicity that you need to check with, and things like that. I don't think we in South Africa has really got that big product from a raw manufacturer prospect, is that because we've got really great, I have got great access to amazing ingredients, and we don't have any restriction. We can use brain matter, which gives a lot of the necessary omegas that we need, the fatty acids, the zinc, the copper, a lot of the micronutrients that's in there that gets fed to dogs that is short. And when we look at diets formulated elsewhere in the world. So yeah, I hope that is the answer that you were looking for, or that can help.
Rita, if you can hear me, I've got a question about mega esophagus. One of our Reggies passed away a few years ago with it, and I think my one girl is starting to develop difficulty. I can see she's struggling swallowing, she sits up. Is there anything we can do, homeopathics that we can use, or anything like that?
Oh, that is such a emotional topic for me. We've lost a dog as well with mega esophagus, and it was very heartbreaking. He developed meningitis gravis, meningitis gravis is what Titan got, and that caused the mega esophagus. So when a dog is born with it, when it's from puppy age, okay, you've got to evaluate how severe it is, okay? So there's things you can feed the dog in an upright position, and there's a lot of things that you can do when a dog's got mega esophagus, and the degrees. And this is a very, very morally difficult situation, because you've got to make evaluation on what is quality of life. Okay. If you've got to feed a dog for all his life sitting up straight and got to keep him quiet for an hour, otherwise it's going to suffocate and get aspirational pneumonia. You've got to make an evaluation. Where do we get selfish, and when is it for the dog's best interest? When it is a slight thing, so like Harvey is now 12 and he's got a slight little bit of signs of megaesophagus. And the signs of that is usually they eat, they drink water, and they start coughing straight after that. And then there's little bursts of vomit that happens. Okay, now guys, not everybody that drinks water and starts vomiting after that has got megaesophagus. This is something that needs to be diagnosed by a vet, okay, and evaluated by it. Okay, so there is homeopathic stuff. I would really recommend that you get a natural or holistic vet involved there. There's a lot of supplements, Chinese herbs that you can do. I do not like to prescribe or tell people that because it depends on each dog, but there is. I use with Harvey gets a little solution called wind heat cough that we put over his food, and if we give that to him every day, there is absolutely no problem, and he is doing amazing. The moment I skip that, he will eat, and he will come after his eating, and he goes, and he blats, and he gives a little bit of a vomit, not a huge big vomit, just a little bit of that little bit that doesn't, because with age, it is something that comes with age, and those muscles start relaxing, and it doesn't work so well, and there's certain breeds that's more prone to it than others. So yes, it is something where you definitely need to get your natural and holistic vet involved. We do look at raw, actually works quite well with it because it's soft and it's easy to go down. So it doesn't cause regurgitation normally. Some of my clients like to feed, it works for them to feed it slightly frozen in bits like that. I've got a Dachshund now, also an older boy. They make him sit up straight in a special chair. He eats, and half an hour later he goes on, and it's all normal. Okay. He does well with the food, a little bit more moisture in it. With Titan, we found that he couldn't do the moisture. We had to make sure it is nice and dry, and that he could swallow it softly, like soft food, but not too much moisture, because the moisture would cause aspirational pneumonia. So it depends on each dog how they react and what the degree of megaesophagus is. So all the I've done a paper on it, assignment on it, but I have not got an answer of what can you do to prevent it, because there's no literature on what can you do to prevent it. You can do with once it has been diagnosed and you've got with it, how can you deal with it? Okay, and yes, diets can make it. Raw definitely makes a difference. I cannot answer you on prevention because that for me is an unknown.
Yeah, for instance, Diva now, she's 10. Her dad died of megaesophagus. We think he choked. And she gets fed just the mince. I've removed the bone now, like meaty bones, from her diet because I'm worried that they will get stuck and she won't be able to move it. So I only give her the mince on a lick mat, like one of the big lick mats. So it kind of slows her down, and she seems to be coping better with it. I don't think she's as severe yet, but it does seem to. I read that there's two types. One, they're born with it, or it's early onset, and then the other one is later in life. Darty's was about 7 years old when he started. Diva, I've noticed now in the last couple of months, I've noticed it's become more noticeable, and she's 10. But I do think the raw mince and the licking action, that helps a lot for her.
Yes.
But,
so normally what they're born with, that is the genetic one, and where there's a genetic predisposition. Later onset of it, which is called acquired megaesophagus, that's not genetic, and there's causes that things that can causes that can, things that can cause it is normally neurological conditions. Okay.
Okay.
Myasthenia gravis is one of it.
Yeah.
Hormonal issues is a big, does play a big role in it. Like hypothyroidism, that can cause it as well. Toxins and severe illness can also set it on. Normally, when it's neurological, you cannot do a lot on that unless you sort out the neurological issue. But once you've hurt those muscles, it's a contraction. So it's a contraction of that. Once you've hurt, once that doesn't work anymore, and that's not a muscle that you can train like you can train my arms or my legs or my back and things like that. You can't train that. So usually
because it's almost like involuntary. It's an involuntary muscle. So so if it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
It starts relaxing and relaxing and relaxing. We had a horrible experience with that, and for me it was absolutely, it was terrible going through that, and for my kids to go through that. So when I hear that a dog suffer from it, I just always say, my first thing to the guardian or the pet owner, I say to them, just please be aware of quality of life, because it is really important. And if they get aspirational pneumonia from that, it really is, it's terrible. It is terrible. So it's not a nice condition. But it all depends on the grading of it.
Yeah, I keep an eye on her, and I'm like a hawk when she eats, just watching and making sure. It was very traumatic for me when D'Artagnan died. I remember when we took him to the vet, and she said to me, she's never seen a dog with such good blood work, with such a poor prognosis, because he was on Raw already. And I remember when we came home, and I literally had to teach him to put his feet up on the counter, and I would hand feed him his raw food and just keep him upright as much as possible. But unfortunately, we live on the farm with the dogs. Yeah, and with our dogs, they have a lot of freedom, so they are on the farm and they do scavenge. And I think he choked on something when he scavenged, and I was devastated. It was, it wasn't something I want any dog to go through again.
Yeah. So Lenny's got another question, and she said, what water bowl is the best? So they use, for Mr. Miyagi and Key, they use a water fountain and glass bowls, which in my opinion is the best, ceramic or glass or porcelain. But if you've got beagle bums that can be quite boisterous around certain things, that is not it. Not plastic. I'm not a big fan of plastic. So if you've got good quality stainless steel, it can go. It is very important to keep your bowls clean. Guys, wash every day. I wash my water bowls twice a day. Just that I've got lots of dogs, there's a lot of slobber coming in and things like that. When we change water, we wash it, okay, with soap and water, and then it goes back through. So I use a good quality stainless steel, and I've got 2 ceramic bowls. That's what we use. That's what I would recommend. What do you use? What do you give your dogs water in, Antoinette?
Stainless steel bowls, and then we also have outside, we have these, like, I don't know what you call them. You basically fill them up and you tip them, and they have the water in. So we have stations in the bathrooms, so where they walk, they always have access to water, but they also cleaned regularly. So definitely, but otherwise stainless steel. And the food also for the boys, they eat from their stainless steel bowls, but the girls get their Mickey Mats. Cara and Diva both get the.
Are they getting? Is there preferential treatment there for certain people, for certain dogs? My dogs will be very upset if some get licky mats and not all of them. My dogs love it. I mean, I don't know how many of our viewers or listeners uses licky mat, but I'm telling you that is one of the best inventions
I love
in
it.
the world.
We love it.
I love licky
Yeah.
mats. It is just one
But
of the.
we address each dog as an individual. So if they need a lick mat, they get a lick mat. If they can cope with a stainless steel bowl, that's my excuse anyway. But yeah, no. But for the regular feed, that's what we do.
Yeah, okay, cool. I see. I'm sorry. I'm just going through questions. I don't know where you can find a 5-liter water fountain. I think it's something we can look at. Antoinette, can source something and put it on We Love Pets so that we can get.
That will be my mission, to go and find a 5-liter water fountain.
Or do you have more than one fountain? I mean, my dogs also drink way too much. It's What is one nutrition myth you wish more dog owners knew was false? I think that is one of those questions that I want to shout off the rooftop. What's yours?
What your pet peeve is. I know what your pet peeve is. And that's, if I guess right, that's mixing kibble and raw, right?
Oh. So there's a few. You've got to feed your dog kibble because they've got to chew and clean their teeth. Okay, if I hear that the hair in my back goes up like crazy and I just want to scream, have you ever seen your dog chew the kibble? Okay, so that's one myth that I really want to know, that kibble is necessary for good clean teeth, because it's actually not. The other a big nutrition myth that I wish I have got a way to reach every single person that is even thinking of getting a dog, is to make them think is that kibble is not the answer, because you're feeding your dog highly processed and unregulated stuff. So the biggest myth is that kibble are balanced and the best nutrition you can get, because it's not. And the more research I do and the more I study and the more I just get to, but how do people actually believe this? And it is sold and told as the truth that kibble is the best nutrition. Years ago, when I was still in Joburg, I took Leia and Titan to Dr. Gary Eckersley. And I asked him something, because I had a client at that stage, that a vet that actually told the client that the dog on raw, you can't regulate calories. So being in the industry very young and not knowing how to answer it, I asked this vet on what is his opinion is. So he said to me, so all dogs that's on kibble is perfect weight? And I looked at him and said, no, most dogs on kibble are overweight. He said, therein lies your answer. So it's one of those things, is that kibble is all balanced and perfect and calories are perfect. And it is not true. And if people can understand that about natural feed and good quality raw and the benefits of raw. And I think, when did I had this discussion? I don't think it was on us. There is cases where raw is not the only solution. There is cases where we need to look at a slightly lightly cooked diet. Okay, it's very little and very few and far between, but it is. I've got a dog that needs to get some cooked meals in between. Again, for me, it's hard because I'm Mrs. Raw, and that's why we started developing lightly cooked meals, because I've got a dog that's older and his digestive system is struggling sometimes. And I can see when it's struggling. When it's cold, it's struggling. When winter arrives, I need to give him more cooked meals, and that's all part of food energies and things like that. So raw is not the only answer, but it is mostly the only answer. And if your pet peeve, you're correct. Mixing kibble and raw for me is a nightmare. It's an absolute nightmare. I do understand it's sometimes a cost thing, but I promise you, if we get problems and we get situations where dogs get sick and the raw gets blamed, it's when people or pet parents mix kibble and raw. It's a conversation of. We can ask Nick about it when he's on, because he will give you
People
also,
have an opinion.
yeah. So yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
So anyway,
Yeah, it's just, I must say, going to that kibble thing, I mean, that when the penny dropped for me, and I thought, well, if human beings shouldn't be eating highly processed food, what is this doing to my dogs? And that's where my head started turning, and I started learning. And then you go through this phase of you're going to kill your dog if you feed them raw food, because you've been indoctrinated by the propaganda and the marketing and everything else for kibble. But if you think about it logically, would you eat the same thing every day, twice a day, for the rest of your life?
now you're getting to another pet peeve of me. Half of this week's social media. You did it on purpose. I know that. Yeah, it is. It's so true, hey. And would you eat wheat? Like when they say, do you want to eat wheat pig style the rest of your life, every day, 3 times a day? Or in our dog's case, twice a day? No, definitely not. But in that case, it also comes to, it's not just about highly processed stuff. It's also when you feed a raw diet. You can feed a raw diet and feed the same proteins day in and day out for 6 years. And you are definitely going to get some intolerances and sensitivities, because you cannot eat. If you eat salmon, if I eat salmon, seared salmon salad every day for the rest of my life, 3 times a day, I promise you, with less than a year, I will start having nutritional deficiencies. Okay, because you cannot do that. And I'm omnivore. I take things totally different than what our dogs do. So yes, we cannot eat the same food day in and day out. Needless to say, kibble. But if you feed a raw diet, you need to add some variety in as well. That doesn't give you a free pass to just feed the same stuff every day. You need to add a little bit of sprats here, or a little bit of sardines, or I say, and I understand it's a cost point. I totally understand it's a cost point of view, because very often people feed farm style select because that's what they can afford. And then I say, guys, just do a variety meal once a week. One week you do 1 meal of barnyard. The next week you do 1 meal of country style select. And then a very good question is, if you've got a dog that's allergic and it can only have certain proteins, the variety within those proteins is say you feed farm style select every week. Add some sardines if it can. Add some salmon if it can. If you're dealing with intolerances, you mostly actually have, if you've already got a dog that has got intolerances, you need to find one or two other things that has got less of an intolerance, and feed that variety a little bit. So it is difficult. Look, in our meals, we do variety. So if you do farm style, there is variety. There is chicken, beef, and lamb, and some veggies. And there's a variety of organs. So you'll have chicken liver, you'll have beef liver, and lamb liver. So there is variety in it already. So adding that to that, when you are sitting with a dog that can only eat, one of our Leanne's dog cannot eat anything but chicken and beef. And I think a little bit of lamb. Lamb is not, but I mean, that's what it can eat. So adding things like some additional omega-3 within the protein ranges that is available and safe to feed. But also remember one thing, is your dog doesn't always stay exactly in the same profile. This can be the IgE and IgG and IgE profile is like it is there. And the idea with a raw and a proper diet is to change the gut biome so that profile is more tolerant of other things, and that profile can change. It doesn't stay the same for years. I've actually had a client whose dog couldn't eat. Also, I mean, it could eat almost nothing. It could do rabbit and I think duck and something pork. Okay. And then all of a sudden it started showing a reaction towards the duck. Okay. And she had it. So she did tests 6 or 7 years ago. And then when she did the tests and redo the test and say, because I had a little bit of a head bum with her and saying, listen, there's a reaction on the duck, so we need to re-look at the test. She redid the test and the dog all of a sudden could eat venison, ostrich, a lot of things that previously it was highly allergic to. It was now not, it was actually quite safe. So it is something that you've got to look and feed the dog in front of you and try and do variety within that. Change the variety, then you can change by adding some blueberries and some other things, but don't just give it a bowl of one thing and that's where it gets all the time, because that's what a lot of people, they get their bowl of farm stuff and that's what they get every day, every month, always. Add some stuff that is safe. There is always a little bit extra out there that you can add that is safe.
I love this question or comment of Leanne. One of my favorite topics is food and behavior. And when last year at the summit, when Dr. Connor did that topic and he put that slide up, you remember it, with the kibble and the cereal, the breakfast cereal next to each other. And they look almost similar, you know, the colors of the kibble and the colors of the cereal. And if you think about it, I mean, I don't have kids, but if you think about what you feed kids, and if you feed them stuff that is full of E numbers and preservatives and all these artificial things and sugars, and they just bounce off the walls, it obviously, with your dogs, you would get a similar reaction if you eat it feeding high carb that puts over into sugar. Obviously, that's going to affect their behavior.
Totally. The gut-brain barrier, it is really important, and that's where a good probiotic comes in as well. So, nutrition matters when it comes to behavior. Okay, it's your dog's behavior is influenced by neurotransmitters that like serotonin and dopamine in its body. Gut health, which is a huge connection. There's a huge connection with the gut health and brain barriers. Okay, mineral balance is really important. Okay, and when you're feeding a raw and a biologically appropriate diet, the mineral balance is already much better because it's natural. Nature is actually amazing how it looks after itself and what it does. Okay, and your inflammation levels drop quite a lot when you're feeding a natural and a raw diet or more biologically appropriate thing. So what supplements can you do when you've got a reactive thing? So things like omega-3s is very calming. Okay, omega-3 is the solution to everything. It's anti-inflammatory. It's calming. I mean, how happy are you when you eat sushi? I eat sashimi. I am.
You can ask me anything, I'll do it for you.
Exactly. Why? It's not just because it's nice and it's a treat, whatever, but there's a lot of omega-3s in there, and it ups the omega-3 levels in your body, and that does make a difference. And the same with our dogs. So if you add some extra omega-3 to the diet, already that is a supplement that helps for a lot of things. The EPA and the DHA is just great for what you put inside your dog's body, and for anti-inflammatory, for the inflammation that can happen in the brain and causing it helps for mood regulation. It improves resilience to stress. So the best sources for a good omega-3. I'm not a big. I think those that just listen to me a lot. I'm not a big fan for capsules and oils.
I
I'm
was going
not.
to ask you now. Yeah.
So, all these pump bottles, the Efazol and the other pump bottles that you get of different brand names, you pump it and everybody say, oh, I give my dog's omega-3 with it. Those stuff goes rancid. Do yourself a favor. Open a bottle, taste what it tastes like, and taste 14 days later. It goes rancid. It tastes bitter. Okay? It is not. The moment you've done that first pump and it gets air in it, it goes rancid, starts slowly degressing, and it is not as effective. Go to the real deal. Do the salmon, do the sardines, do sprats. Sprats are brilliant. It's brilliant. It's nice, it's easy, it's small, it's whole fish. It gives you all the whole organs, and it is very rich in omega-3s. We do the salmon, the minced salmon. It smells terrible. I hate it. I hate the smell of it. When I was still in Joburg,
The dogs love it.
the dogs love it. I don't like it when my dogs eat it and they come and sit with me and they want kisses, but it is good for them. Okay, so I do the sacrifice. We mince the salmon heads and the skins and bones, so it is high it's high in bone content, but it's not high in calcium. So high in calcium that it throws it out. But it is so rich in omega-3, and there's so many fatty acids. And I mean, sometimes if you open that salmon tubs, it is. And you touch it, your hands feel like you've just worked with a bowl of oil. And it is good for your dogs. It is absorbable and it's biologically available. And my opinion,
I just want to interrupt you there, especially for dogs who are not used to fish. That smell, it can put them off, I've noticed.
Yes.
So you have to get them used to it.
Feed it frozen, because it doesn't smell as bad if it's frozen. That is a great feed it still frozen in frozen blocks. For me, that is a non-negotiable. Sardines, mackerel, salmon, sprats in my house, and mussels. We now do these the mussels. It's brilliant. It is excellent. And if your dog doesn't like the smell or the texture of it, feed it frozen. It makes it just so much easier. My dogs love a sardine when it's frozen. Give it to them defrosted. They look at me and they go like, "Oh, you want to eat this?" Because they literally look like they are they offended by it. Okay, so for me that is a non-negotiable. And when you are sitting with reactive dogs or anxious dogs, you need to up the omega-3s. That is really important. More omega-3s, the better. When we are stressed, we are going through times that life is hectic, whatever, your doctor will say up your omega-3 intake, because it helps with stress, it helps with depression, a lot of things. Omega-3 is the answer. So when it comes to calming, magnesium is the calming mineral. So that is a very important part to add to a dog that has got issues like reactiveness and nervousness and so on. So magnesium supports the nervous system and it regulates it. It helps for muscle relaxation. When I have, when menopause kicked in and your muscles cramp and whatever, up your magnesium. The same for dogs. When you see dogs are nervous, they've got this muscle tremor because of neurological issues and things like that, up magnesium. Add a little bit of a magnesium supplement if you've got that. Discuss it with your vet. You can chat to me. We can see how we can add magnesium into your dog's diet in a different way. Magnesium helps to reduce anxiety and stress responses. So very often if you do test and you've got a dog that's got hyperreactivity, of a lot of restlessness and poor stress tolerance, magnesium might be low magnesium might come up as the cause of it, and it's very often overlooked, very often overlooked, but it's very impactful if you start adding more magnesium to your dog's thing. So also when you've got a dog with issues like this, gut support is so important. And that is where a raw diet really helps, because you're already helping to get the gut better and heal the gut. Okay, and then a good probiotic really helps a lot as well. Once again, I love using Biorin Ferment. And then another one, green tripe. Get some extra tripe. Add some tripe to your dog's diet. It really, really helps for that. It helps stabilize their mood. It helps improve stress handling and those freak out situations. Okay. And it really does reduce overreactions. And that is one of the reasons why all our food has got tripe in. I put tripe in all our food. For me, it's a non-negotiable. Dogs need tripe. A lot of people really don't like dealing with tripe, so they won't feed their dogs that. We put it in the food so that you've got no choice, and it helps your dog. Your herbal nervous system support, chamomile, valerian, passion flower, those are herbal things that you can help. And it doesn't sedate, but it just calm a little bit. But I would really make sure you work with a herbalist or a holistic vet to do that, because with certain medicine you can have an issue with that. So don't not do it, but don't just self-medicate there. That is important. And then when you feed a raw diet, you've got high quality protein and amino acids that really help for that. Your tryptophan and serotonin, your tyrosine, dopamine, that is in your natural raw diet that helps with it. When you feed a raw diet that's got poor protein quality, that is why it is so important to know where you source your dog food from. When you feed poor protein quality, those things are going to be lacking, and then you're going to have issues. So with that comes all your B vitamins. That's important for nerve function, your brain chemistry, stress resilience. What is the things that I would say you need to avoid? Highly processed food, high carbohydrate diets, and artificial additives. That is the three things that is really, really, you need to avoid. When you've got a dog with that, you need to avoid it. You need to get that eliminated from the diet in order to get it better. So that is really, really, really the important nutritional things when you get there. I just want to see it.
Do you want to do the last one? I think we need to do a whole session on the last one.
The nutritional needs change with age from puppy to senior. So, okay, so I'm going to sum it up very quickly because it's actually very simple. A red kibble manufacturer that has got puppy adult food. Blue kibble manufacturer, there's puppy and adult food. And in my opinion, the only thing that differs is the quantity. Because if you're going to need to change that, because the nutritional needs for a puppy is different, but it is in your raw food. You just need a higher quantity of it. When you've got a dog that works and runs, and agility dog, you're going to need a higher fat content because you need more energy, because fat creates energy. Okay, so that is where you look at it. When a dog gets older, it might need different food energy. So I would not say there's a nutritional a lot of nutritional differences. I would rather say we look at food energetics. So we will look at hot and cold foods. What is warming? What is cold and cooling? Where's your dog? Is there stagnation? Because dogs that get older, the blood flow is not so great. So stagnation is better. So it might need a little bit more warmer food in order to keep their body warmer, because they're getting older. They don't have that. Older dogs that can't digest fat. So great. So you need to look at it. But yeah, it is an absolute, this is a 4-hour lecture or discussion when we go into that. But there is nutritional needs, but I mean, it's not like you've got to buy the XYZ puppy food as adult food because there's higher protein and lower protein, because it becomes a little bit of a marketing thing, in my opinion. Okay, I'm not saying that puppies don't need more and older guys don't need less or more or different things, but it's much easier to adjust within a natural diet when you feed a holistic, a raw diet. Yeah.
Yeah. You did do an article a
if you
little while ago, so I can send that to Leanne
Yes,
as
I was
well.
just going to say we did do an article. Maybe yeah. So there is a little bit of that, but like I said, it is quite, and I think we're almost going to start running out of time. But there is, it is at face value. It is not something that you need to worry about when you're feeding a high quality raw diet, because if you've got good quality proteins and the natural minerals, vitamins, and micro and macro nutrients are in your food, you don't need to worry. Puppies need more of it, adults need a little bit less in terms of quantity. Your resting energy requirement is less for an adult than for the puppy that grows, and that's why a puppy feeds on 10% of body weight, and an adult feeds on 2.5%. So that therein lies the biggest nutritional difference. It's a quantity and a caloric change. Was that a good answer?
That's a very good answer. Cool.
So, cool, guys. Where are we on time? I think we need to say goodbye.
6 minutes.
And I spoke most of the time.
That was the plan.
You did not finish up with us. I know that you called me badly. It was great, guys. It was great chatting to you.
Yeah.
I've got a lot to say still, but we will carry on another time. Who are we having next week, Auntie?
We still have to
Who
confirm.
are we having next week?
Next week? I don't know. We still have to confirm.
Okay, cool. But we will post that on social medias.
We'll share that.
Social media platforms.
Yeah. Nick's on the 15th, so we just need to check next week.
Okay, perfect. Guys, have a one.
Yeah, it's long weekend. Leave the Easter eggs.
Okay, cool. I'll check. I think yeah. Please have a wonderful time, guys. Give your dogs quail instead of chocolate eggs. Okay. Some Pawsome Raw treats. We're back in stock with the Pawsome Raw treats, so you can order some. Do not give him the chocolate. You have the chocolates, and have a wonderful Easter, everybody. I'm going to have a wonderful time with my hubby and my fur kids, and just chill and spend some quality time, do some beach walks, and I hope all of you have got a wonderful family time. And for those that travel safe, be safe, and see you next week.
All right. Yeah, all have a good evening. Thanks, Retha.
Thank you.
Bye.
Cool, guys. Keep well.